Alrighty, almost done now. Okay. Hello, welcome. I'm Stooge. Today, we are going to continue defending Gina. We should be able to finish the defense of Gina today, actually. Miss Lestrade. So give me a moment while I make sure my now live notification got out on my Discord, which you can join here. And then we will get started. How is everybody today? Just fiddling with stuff because I got distracted. And there we go. Excellent. Let's get it started now. Let's get it started now. Got your snacks? No. But I had cereal before I started. How are you doing today, Pokey? Oh, let's get that mouse out of there. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this as nothing more. I'm acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. So in the name of justice is wrongfully getting a person convicted. That doesn't sound very just, does it? Right? So, as a member of the public of this, as a members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decision. This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. I'm sorry, say that again? Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurry to me. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idols. Stop. Detective has very much trust in your eyes. More than this, I cannot see.
I don't. Oopsie. Oopsie daisy.
I don't believe it. These 6 jurors they're going to believe Gregson? They declare their decision now. Is Ginny going to be found guilty? Not if I can help it. If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon... wrong voice. It's just the fact that it focused on him. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets. or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Well then, counsel, I think it's time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decision, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court. All right, let's double check the court record before I go forward. Mason, okay, so we've already utilized that. We've utilized that. Has nobody realized that it's impossible for Gina to have thrown the gun out of the window, out of the peek hole that didn't exist? Like, isn't that impossible? And they're not admitting the other disc into evidence, so I can't utilize it. If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. So there's no choice, Runo. You have to throw some more evidence at them. Oopsie. Oh, I guess not oopsie. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? All right, let's see. Do I have evidence against Graydon? Or against Gregson that I can present? Like, I'd really like to, like... Da-da. Like, we've got this. Oh, look, there's a hole here at the back. It doesn't look much like a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through the leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind. Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a bean, didn't they? Okay, so that's... Did I actually not look at that before? Because I was too busy focused on this hole here? How does it produce the hinges? That's what I want to know. This is obviously how the hinges are attached, but how? All right. Redemption ticket, Gina's presentation. Pawnbroker's ticket. Okay, summary. Yeah. Okay. And there's that. Just trying to think if there's anything I can use. Like, there must be some evidence I can use, but I don't know what. And this was... So this is what Strago was wondering if I would just get it or not. Let me see. Well, just so we don't have to go through that again. How many tries is it going to take? I hope that your graphics driver doesn't keep crashing, Pokey. I believe I said that earlier, but I'm not sure. If I leave it to the jury, it's over. It's got to be against either Grayden or Gregson. My initial instinct is to go for Gregson because he's definitely less, what's the word I'm looking for? He's less put together. He seems unflappable. But Gregson isn't. But what evidence can I present? Right? We've got this, which is the pickup for the small box. We got this, which was for the coat. And that should be that's gonna be Mason Milverton's blood and the glove print of McGilded. A long unpublished story that Mr. Sholmes deposited at the pawnbrokery of the victim. Yeah. The Hounds of the Baskervilles. That's right, I used Daddy's notes to write it. I think it's a great story. I don't know why Hurley's forbidden me from publishing it. No, it's strange, isn't it? Perhaps the problem's with the title. Perhaps Mr. Sholmes is family friends of someone with that name or something. It's not crashing while I'm gaming, just while watching Twitch or YouTube. So, I don't think it's overheating from old thermal paste. Maybe I should reinstall drivers, but I'm also doubtful that will help. I haven't updated them in a long while, because I figured the new drivers won't help a 970. Yeah, it's possible they will. Who knows? Well, it does have quite the same ring to it, but I could change the title to Hounds of the Naruhodos. I'm fairly sure that Mr. Sholmes is a friend of someone with that who has that name too. I bet you I have to present this against Gregson. Inspector Gregson, there's one final piece of evidence I'd like you to see. Eh? What's that then? If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly. Well, go on. This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit that he clearly struck a deal with Graydon. I don't think this is going to work, but...
Take that!
Yep. What on earth is this, Counsel? Irrefutable proof, my lord, of the corrupt dealings that went on between these two men. Yeah, I figured that wouldn't work. I thought that there might be some reason, but no, it's not it. Okay.
Take that!
No? Uh-huh. Or perhaps irrefutable proof of the corrupt workings of my learned friend's mind. Yeah. Okay. So, you have lots of tries. Just keep trying. I could. Mr. Graydon, there's one final piece of evidence I would like you to see. You misguided fool. Whatever you intend to show me now, you'll be wasting your time. I have nothing left to lose. I assure you, I will admit to nothing. This is my last. Yeah.
Take that!
Really, Counsel, at this stage in the proceedings, I would have expected more considered argument. The defense will be duly penalized. They only struck a deal at the very last possible moment when they were in the stand. What's more, there's no love lost between them, clearly. It was strictly business. Yeah, penal. Right. If you think about it, murder and treason are both such serious crimes, yes, punishable by death. So I don't think old Selkie's going to admit either anytime soon, do you? No. But Gregson, on the other hand, he's just refusing to admit what happened because he's sworn to secrecy, out of a sense of duty. I wonder, if Gregsy's lips are sealed because he's determined to do his duty, then perhaps To prise them open, you're going to have to be determined enough to do your duty too, Runo. Of course, he'd do anything to follow his orders, so... Yes, owie. Mm-hmm. It's not letting me change who I want to attack. Or at least it didn't give me any indication that I was going to be able to change it. Alright, Gregson. Oh god, I'm an idiot.
Take that!
I'm an idiot. Is that Mr. McGilded's peculiar music box council? Yes, with the disc in place already to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we just discovered set in place as well. Goodness, this disc council.
Hold it!
No, wait, I can't let you do that. Why not? Because it's got nothing to do with this case, that's war.
Objection!
Not true, Inspector. Eh? The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the recording earlier on this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code is comprised of two distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And now we have a chance to confirm that theory. For crying out loud, Sunshine. We're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the old courtroom air confidential information like that, it's treason. Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness? You're mad! If you let that secret information out in the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot.
Objection!
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. That you continue to lie to the court, and all because by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine. Don't you dare! I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. My lord, if you please. The court must hear the sounds made by that music box. Come on, Van Zykes, for Pete's sake, stop him!
Objection!
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor, not a Scotland Yard puppet. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty... In this courtroom, my duty is to the law. So let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth by fair means or foul. No! Very well, the defense stands here, and that of the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen to as the music box is set in operation once more. This time with the second disc in place and both discs playing simultaneously. All right, I'm... I need to go back to history, but I gotta wait. Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code. Hold it! All right, I admit it. Whatever you want, but for the love of God, shut that bloomin' box up. Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon? Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the people in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector? I did. Stop! What are you doing, man? It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess, we were stood here in the stand together. That's when he approached me with the deal. Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? May I have some of your... I may have something you're looking for, Inspector. With me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstance. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear. The people in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. No. You're not exactly right there, Naruhodo. Ryunosuke. By giving false testimony, the witness intended to have the defendant wrongfully accused of murder. The defendant's already been accused of murder. He wanted to have Gina wrongfully convicted of murder. There's a difference. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night, after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. You see what's not there? Right? So we got that. See what's there? How could they not be aware if they've got this, if they've got the two photos? Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbroker on the night in question. Whoops, wrong button. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windabank. Is his name a fart joke? You! Who are you calling a you? Only now, Stooge? Yeah, only now. Bailiff! Bailiff! Restrain that man! At once. I didn't realize his name was Pop until just now. That's it then. It's all over. Is it though? Because we haven't gotten a verdict yet. I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth. Born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole. And you did. But then you decided to commit treason. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. You see you hear Morse code. You're filled with determination. But then you decide to try to sell government secrets. Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Money. I want money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me up in the small hours. Do you honestly think that if right now it doesn't, you're still feeling that way, do you honestly believe that that more money is going to help? I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Well, obviously you can imagine a lot, and you lived in that squalor, so not possible. Sorry. Then one day I met him, Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with a queer talent. So you are. I have money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me little plan here. I was to steal the ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for the inspections of the ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lore of the devil's offerings, how easy it is to succumb. But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing. And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Hey, Demo. You're here early. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd been a music box maker's apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years ago. Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you become, sir, eh? He was a different man to the one in my memory, a thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason, so I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made. Music box disc, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I've brought the score with me. There are 2, actually. I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft. And that's how I had him make the 2 discs. Thereby splitting the information in 2, you were taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs, and the music box for playing them. In exchange, I'd exchange them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago was the second part of the deal, the exchange of the second disc. Yes. I'd sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seems he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon. But why was it that on the omnibus 2 months ago, your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded and not yourself? When I received the 1,000 guineas for after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious. And when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded, that's it. He had no idea what was actually on the disc I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. How are you doing today, Demo? It was only then that I found out what sort of monster McGilded really was. I'm glad you're doing well. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge? As anyone who, with even the remotest knowledge of the man, will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, the witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from the start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background of it all. I'd made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements. 2 months ago, I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in the city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself has shown that. Are you saying? I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything in his favor in this courtroom to ensure he walked free, I took matters into my own hands and delivered justice that monster deserved. That tragic incident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man. Everything's ready, sir, if you'd like to follow me to the courtroom. Okay, I'm not gonna actually reread this. So that policeman who came in to tell McGilda he could examine the omnibus again. That's right, an imposter hired by me. Ah. McGilda used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on the one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs, and the music box you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man. What's this? Windabake's pawnbrokery? Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket. So it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over this ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I've put a jewel in pawn for you. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. Where have we heard that before? So I knew that if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at Windibanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns, that he must have threatened her somehow. I'm losing the voices, it's fine. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket. So I started to make some inquiries. And I had a strong suspicion that the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was to wait until the girl went to Windibanks to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat and the one disc that was in its pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing, because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing. We'd picked up the fact that McGilded was involved. Inspector? You recovered so fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible. So we started gathering the fellow's possessions and examining whatever we could and lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard. But we had to keep it as quiet as we could. Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc were still there in the shop somewhere. So I knew that I had to race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery? I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I'd located the music box I'd sold to McGilded on the shelves of the forfeited articles. And the second disc was inside. Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened. What are you doing, Marshal? A gunshot rang out in the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun, and the bullet pierced your limb. Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night just in case. Did I misread that? Okay. Before I knew what was happening, I fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back. I would not call that the middle in any way, except for maybe close to the middle of that quadrant. As he fled to the storeroom door for refuge. A sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windy Banks on that wretched night. Earlier, you called McGilded a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done is exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded. Yes, I think I have. Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? I would think that he'd be former inspector at this point. He's been restrained, my lord, and he's being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Winterbank and the stealing of government secrets. Why not the murder of Mr. McGilded too? Just because the man was a monster doesn't mean that his death should go unpunished. And you, Inspector, regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains, whether or not you are doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable. Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Yeah? It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir. Gardadev Squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now, sir. The last push of the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
And the Old Bailey burns down. That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. You still have to stand trial now for perjury. Finally, Bruno, you finally managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd be coming out on top there for a while. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Miss Lestrade, I'm not finished with you yet. Eh? What are you looking at me for like that? You're under arrest for the crime of perjury. Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider, Eh? 2 months ago, in my courtroom no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windybank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilded's property, it seems. Eh? No. I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilded's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Oh, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Jenny this evening. And turning our attention to the defense. Determining that, when played together, the music box disc containing a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel. How was it unexpected? Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom. But very sorry about that. It was the only way that I could get the Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... If I may say something on that point... Isn't that... If I may say... It's, about the sound produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. What? What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact. Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession, one feels. But I must say that in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs were nothing more than that. Meaningless, serious... I believe that is a typo, and it's supposed to be a meaningless series of two different tones. What? Can that really be? Was it Morse code after all? My lord, the defense would like to listen. No. Why? Why would you do that? It doesn't matter whether or not it was Morse code. It doesn't matter whether the intention was to cause problems with the trial. Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you? Those discs contain ministerial secrets, sunshine. This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government communications. We know McGilda conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies, secrets acquired by Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further. But it's really going to bother me. Miss Lestrade. Yeah, me lord. That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing. Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalog of depravity. An appalling experience to befall any child. Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days back in the slums. How old is Gina? She's 17. She's effectively an adult. Whoops, wrong button. I beg your pardon. If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you've got to start at home. You got to change how you are yourself. Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, not guilty. Seriously, how hasn't the old belly, how has the old belly not burned down? That is all. Court is adjourned. On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my Far Eastern friend. Oh? Despite being a Nipponese, you saw through the pretense to the malice that festered within that Englishman. And at the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures. I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside. Well, except for maybe him. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom. You did? When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with one another, Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Oh, toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to have my friendship betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand. I wonder who that was. You mentioned something similar earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. All right, then I'll wait for that day if I must. Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey in my retirement from service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow. Until we meet again. Dooba-dooby-doo. Dooba-dooby-doo. 17th of April. 5:24 p.m. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappear to? Ah! Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed in me right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No one ever has before, you see? Kept a promise, I mean, properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life, growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. That's just 'cause I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently too. Trusting in someone else really is an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat old lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in. But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, alright. Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean, Kazuma. Am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could? You believed I could be. Pardon the interruption. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? Stop impersonating an officer for one thing. Oh, that voice. It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Yes, it was me all along. I would have said it when you finally noticed me. But you people with your incessant babbling. But it was me. Dio! What's that from, Pokey? Ah, Mr. Sholmes! Yes, it was me all along, you see? Oh, okay. I'm not very familiar with JoJo's. I don't even remember the whole title of the anime. JoJo's Great Adventure? I don't know. I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Bizarre adventure. Thank you, Poke. Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me a leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat to you. Fun fact. The author of that series said that if he wanted to make sure the audience knew someone's a bad guy, they made him kick the dog. Kick a dog. That's actually that's a writing technique. Oh, thank you. Stop doing what I like to do. What? You mean this? I do that too. It's a fidget. Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe. Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade? While you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed, some of us have been fighting for our lives. Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but, well, have a feel. Could you take your hands off of my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes? And in some way, I suppose congratulations are in order to you too, Miss Lestrade. What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted? Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but an acquittal in a trial with that particular prosecutor perhaps is a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's found not guilty in a trial A was working on winds up dead anyway. Is that it? The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. But of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself. Yeah, well, it don't bother me. Oh, really? Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like I'm upstairs. A bit like him upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like God? Yeah. Him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have a go at the wrong end of the stick. He won't have gotten the wrong end of the stick. There are some cubs like that, bog trotter what'll rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters into his own hands and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGildeds of this world. So I ain't scared. I got principles, see? A trait in you which is to be admired, Miss Lestrade. Oi, just give it a rest, all right? As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was a very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina. Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here? Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there. Ah, Iris, my dear. I do apologize, but wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves. What happened? As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. But these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it? I'm not sure, really. I beg your pardon. I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day. I'll be careful. Ouch. Anyway, it's such a shame. I was hoping to throw a party for Gina tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm be going nowhere for a while. You heard the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What is it again? Breaking and entering, taking the bog trotter stuff. What was in the lug? Blah da blah da blah. Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense. But diving ain't an offense. It's a job, innit? I don't think so. Still, it has got me thinking a lot, thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Odo? Well, no. But I was never a pickpocket. Well, anyway, I reckon I could make a change. I'm gonna do something for all them lot like me in the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. That's a wonderful idea, Jenny. Sorry. And I'm sure you can do it. What is it? No, I'm not crying. Nothing. Miss Gina Lestrade. The prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once. Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yes, goodbye, Gina. And good luck. Odo? Yes? Ah! What was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so... Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Miss Lestrade. Well, that wasn't what I wanted. Okay? On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you. Oh. Oh, yes. It's good advice, Genie. Right. I see. Well. Thanks, Odo. Thank you for everything. What you've done. For believing in me. Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina. Well, there she goes. Wonder if I'll ever see her again. Well, well, quite the indomitable pick purse. Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial's all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful? You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled. Oh no, how silly of me. But anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news? Not again. Well, what do you say, Bruno? Early? As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news. And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it? Let's not go there. All right, then I'll start with the good news. Maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall, apparently. Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort. All right, then what's the bad news? The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of Dover have been delayed by a day or more. Wait. Dover? That's right. If we head to the station immediately, we may still make it in time to see Susie off. But there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes? I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole. The great detective does it again. Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of rail transport directors' foibles. I happen to be aware of a number of the rail transport director's foibles, yeah. What? I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive elementary. Why is Sholmes blackmailing everybody? Seriously. Just an idea, but it might be ways to stop manipulating people that way. What are we waiting for then? To London, Victoria. Uh, 18th April, 5:32 a.m. Port of Dover. Wayside. That took somewhat longer than I had anticipated. boat must be about to leave. Susie's boat must be about to leave. God, I can't talk right now. Mr. Sato, where are you? Over there, look. Looks like she's reading something.
Hold it!
Mr. Sato, wait, what are you doing? Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here? We came to see you as soon as we could after the trial, I mean. We heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see. Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go? It went well. She was acquitted. That's wonderful. Really wonderful news. The book you were about to throw into the sea. It was your encyclopedia of British law, wasn't it? Oh dear. I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So I was saying my final farewell. You were saying goodbye to law? You, Susato-san? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the people, Miss Susato? I deliberately altered the scene of the crime. And then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? The art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun. I stole Runo's armband. Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. That band's very important to me. Well, if it's so important to you, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flap-o-mat. So I put it up my sleeve. Really? And then I rather forgot about it until I found it myself in Mr. Windibank's shop with it later that night. I see. And then Mr. Sholmes. All right. We're just going to skip this because we'd seen that. After Mr. Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think that the door started to... That door started to play on my mind. The storeroom door, you mean? Yes. If Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had in my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know. So I used the cat flap-o-mat to make a peephole in the door. As captured in a photographic print of the shop by one of Hurley's red-handed cameras. Indeed, it was of the first importance at that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that the information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though naturally, without proof, it would have mounted to nothing. But when I looked through the peephole door, The sight that my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier. The trial of Magnus McGilden. Thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then, a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because for the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windibank. Well, even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing. You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime. That's right. But then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case. What do you mean? Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to falsely claim to have witnessed it there would have to have been a way to see beyond the door. Ah. What just fell? Oh. For which a peephole would be the very thing. Sorry. I'm getting distracted. Only the people I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't know that, so it wouldn't make any difference. Ah, the power of yapping, yeah. But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap? Is that why she did it? So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even the police. I know, and I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong, a criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner, with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan. Power through the yapping! She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't she just tell me everything before the trial began? My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. Ah. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with the crime scene. So Miss Susato decided to shoulder the burden of the responsibility alone. For your sake and Miss Lestrade's. Miss Susato? The truth is, when it happened, I did it because he didn't tamper with it. He just knew it was tampered by someone. Yeah, but then he withheld that information. I'd lost a little of my faith in the law. Oh. I was worried the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that, It's the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the only one who lied in the witness stand, using that people as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't been exposed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Mr. Sato, what you did saved Gina's life. Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you've saved me too from my regrets. Well, we must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured. Yes, exactly. After she serves time for the other things. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure. But the revelation that the music box disc contained secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph of work to work that out. I'm full of admiration. Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was. Oh, it wasn't? There was a communication officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator. And she said the majority of the sound on the disc was just meaningless tones. So, here's the thing. In order for those two discs to work, there has to be a keying point where they line up perfectly in order to properly convey the Morse code. As one would expect, after all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in a cipher to avoid being readily understood, should they have been intercepted. In cipher? I see. So then, we could have never hoped to understand the message anyways. Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pipe problem. I don't know what zero pipe means. I assure you. Asogi. What? Whoops. What? Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait. Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said asogi. Does that word mean something to you? Mean something? Asogi was the name of my best friend. What? But how? How did you know that? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before when the message was playing on the music box. She transcribed on the fly? She really is a genius. I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least. Oh! It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use in their own languages. I don't believe it. Are you saying? That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before. But I think it's based on the Iroha pentagram, isn't it? And you mean to say that in the Japanese Morse code, the message says asogi? Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code. Iris, would you let me see that? Miss Susato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code? Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications. Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version. Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please. Of course. But what can this possibly mean? Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes, it's made the color drain from Susato-san's face. There's no doubt this message is written in Japanese Morse code. So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications? I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. 4 names? The first is Kei Asogi. Kazuma Asogi. Why? Why was his name on that disc? The second is A. Shin. Shin? I don't recognize that name. The third is T. Goregason. Gregson? Ah, it would seem Tobias Gregson is the third name on that list. And what's his name doing in a secret government communication as well? And the last name... What's the matter, Mr. Sato? It's just so strange. So unexpected. Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson. What? Wilson? John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? It only says J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then after the 4 names, it reads, if translated from Japanese. That is all 4. And that's the end of the message, or rather, the end of what you noted it down, Iris. I just can't believe it. Who would ever thought those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Oh, whoops. Whoever ever thought that those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of names, of some disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some time between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan. So, Daddy could be in Japan then? Where Susie and Runo came from? Oh, well... No, it's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson. And there must be lots of J's among them. Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. But we can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. You should. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case, Mr. Windibank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder on the mountain of very dark cave. I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. Oh dear, the ship is going to set sail soon. Yes, it seems so. The first initials are also in English Morse code, and the rest is in Japanese. Also, they didn't change the sound while translating, so it spells out the Japanese names of the characters. Interesting. I'll sell on that ship, on that steamship, yeah. I'll sell on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie? We wish you safe passage, Miss Susato. Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best. Miss Susato, I had hoped to have you always by my side, at my side, to guide me and support me. Mr. Naruhodo, please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh. Now don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I have yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah. Oh yes, the Hound of Baskervilles. Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Do you remember the first time we met? Yes, of course. On the SS Buria when I was dragged out from that wardrobe still half asleep. Wrong! Does anyone remember the actual first time they met? You know very well what I'm talking about after that. You know very well that I'm talking about after that. That wasn't the first time they met, though. It's strange being thrown together as if we were, in that case, somehow felt straight away. I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy. Miss Susato. And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then. No, because they met when he was put on trial in Japan for the murder of Iris's dad. So much bull.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Why doesn't he have a Japanese accent? Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, Mr. Sholmes? Oh, where do you get the violin? That's another good question. I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the special express train, apparently. Huh? It caused such a commotion on the line, all the other trains had to wait at the stations. But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I'll explain everything and how it was all your fault. Huh? Huh? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. Or, wait, did I misread that? I explained everything and how it was all your fault. I did. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Miss Susato, you love defending yourself in court. Huh? It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? Mr. Sholmes? Yes? A word, if you don't mind. Why, certainly. Any word you like. Bellow it out, my dear boy. Oh yes, I love Runo's words. I know just the one he'll use here. Then I really must say...
Objection!
In the following weeks, hundreds of music boxes arrived at Baker Street from all over Europe. Something was afoot, though it transpired that I had ordered them all, so I advertised them for sale with "Used by Mr. Sholmes," and the money I've earned consulting detective work pays a pittance by comparison. Aww, I haven't slept a wink. This manuscript is due tomorrow now. When I'm this busy, Hurley usually cooks me breakfast. Well, cooks is an overstatement. For some dry toast and insipid coffee. I do miss Susie and her lovely Japanese breakfast. Witness, your testimony is riddled with contradictions. Exactly. Rarely do rare Kobans hide under a stake themselves. Well, I don't know, sir. Knows his witnesses. My courtroom is no place for your petty arguments. The Shinai. Having delivered the Russian dancer to shore in Shanghai, I laid low on the steamship. But last night I apprehended an extremely suspicious Japanese national on board. I've done nothing wrong! All I did was give Wagahai's offspring. A man brings some kittens on board and suddenly he's a hardened criminal. That's not fair! Scientific investigation will be the gold standard for policing. I dream of a world governed by tenets of order and discipline. Like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have but 2 minutes and 37 seconds until my next appointment. The late Friends magazine is out. I'm in it again. Whenever I say that one line she wrote now, I get a standing ovation. Want to hear it? Not bad, I suppose, for an amateur. Look, there's the music box. Ah, her ladyships puts me to shame. Been visiting the old girl on a daily basis, of course. Joni, my old jailbird. Must say, battling with those bally stairs every day has done wonders. Managing rather well with the housework too. Got this maid business. Hope the gossiping neighbors don't realize the man of the house is his own maid. My Rolly is back on the beat again, all thanks to the Reaper. There's nothing I'll enjoy more than a day's hunting. I'm a better Bobby now, looking out for Londoners that have pennies on me lovely wife. Oh, Patty. Oh, Rolly. Looks like I'm gonna be doing Tom for a bit now. But Iris comes every day with an ad for an adder, so it ain't too boring. She's always going on about all them cases what Shones is looking into. Criminal investigations are kind of a lot interesting when you get into them. Yes, I renounced my upbringing and chose a life of sophisticated crime. But regrets? Please. Give over, bruv. That ain't the Ash we used to know. We got time in here to plan our comeback of the Three Muskewatsits. Milking the neighbors for all it's worth. All it's worth. This past 6 months has been the time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life is all about. Naruhara-san, I promise. Your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well. Why is Jenny's hat there? Do we agree that this is one of the worst ones? I didn't enjoy it that much. Neither did I. You better cough. I'm watching you. You better cough. Boo. Our first assassin. Am I the only one annoyed that they're not locking in step? They're not walking in step? Okay, there he coughs. That's good. The Russian ballerina. Susato-san. Itchy head. Minister of Justice. A bailiff and Mr. Sholmes. At least I feel like that's Mr. Sholmes. It might not be. Our first 3 British witnesses. McGilded. Oh, there's Sholmes. Subtle speed up of Naruhodo to let Mr. Sholmes in. Gregson. Rolly and Polly. The Garadebs. You coming along, kitty? Hi, Iris. Okay. So Iris is going to take up the rear. Van Zykes. Baroque Van Zykes. Those 3 buffoons. Gina. Is Gina gonna get in the front, or is she just gonna stay? No, she's gonna... It looks like they're building a gap for her to run up behind, yeah. She's gonna come running up behind. I think. I could be wrong. No. Alrighty. I don't know whether or not it's the worst one, Pokey, but it is it's definitely not among my favorites. But for now, we're going to switch games. All right. Today, I'm actually going to end my stream on YouTube because it's too much of a hassle for me to remember